Hi guys, welcome back with the second part of limits. I told you about the concept of limits to find it graphically and numerically. There is four methods to find any limits by this method: numerically and graphically and substitution and cancel. Numerically, I already given you with the first example and graphically, and I used it for explanation only. You have to find any example with the power bank or testing for the third point and fourth point, substitution and cancelling. Before using, you have to make or to know some rules of limits. When I given you any limit x approach to the value, any value with the constant number like 5, it's already equal 5. Why? I have no x to replace it by c. So any constant I given you, asked you to find limit with any value, with any constant, it's already equal the same points. What about the second case? If I have x equal approach to c with the number multiplication by any function, I have to take this number out of this limits, like 5 multiplying by limit x when I approach it to c with the remaining function. I have 5 multiplication by substitution x approach to c. I have to replace x by this number. It will be c equal 5c. So what about if I given you limits approaches to c with x with power n? I have to replace x directly. X will be removed by c and will be the final value of this function. It will be c over this power. If I take the other shape of function with the square root or any power of roots of x, I have two approaches here. Just replacement with any x to find the limit directly. Other properties we can take it for any case of mathematics. We have 4 cases of mathematics: plusing, negative, difference, multiplications, and fractions. What will happen if any limits with the first one and second one and third one and the last one? What will happen if I take the other cases or different cases with this calculation to find the limits? It will be with the, I cover it with the many example with just supported other rules. Just a minute, I will back to you. Hey guys, some example for these rules. I given you 4 cases: summation and difference and multiplication and fraction or dividing. If I take the first rule with the scalar number. Scalar number, when I ask it to find limit x equal to with 5x. I have a scalar number. I told you any scalar number you can take it outside. It's 5 limit x approach to 2 x. It will be equal 5 multiplication by 2. It will be 2. The second case, I have 2 functions. If I have limit x going to approach to 1 with function x squared positive or negative x. I have two cases, positive and negative. It's the same technique. This limit, it can move with the first part and it can move with the second part as limit x by 1, x squared, negative or positive, limit x approaches to 1 with x. Just direct substitution, any x I can remove it by 1 square, positive or negative 1. You can choose any case, positive or negative for this. This example just explanation for these rules or basic rules. I have third one with multiplication. If I give you x approaches to pi, always pi equal 3.14. This trigonometric function, if I give you x cosine x, I have two functions multiplying to each other. To find this function, we can remove any x by pi, just starting with moving these limits with the first function and moving these limits with the second function. Between this function, I have multiplication case. Multiplying with the other function, cosine x, I have to make substitution for x by, when I replace x by pi, multiplying by cosine pi. Cosine pi, if you check the graph for cosine, it will be negative 1. So pi multiplying by negative 1, it will be negative 1. The last case, we have dividing or fractions. If I give you limit x approaches to pi, with tan the other trigonometric function, this simple limits, you can take the numerator and denominator. Limit x approaches to pi for tan x, dividing by limit x approaches to y for x. If you make quick replacement for x, it will be tan pi over pi. Tan pi equal 0 over pi, it will be equal 0. This case or this example for direct substitution. The last case for cancelling, we will take this for other example. Just stay with me, I will be back. With the last method of finding the limit is cancelling. Cancelling, we can use some fraction or factorization to find the limit by each other. Sometimes I use substitution giving me the number direct, so it will be easy, very easy. But sometimes you can find the unknown value, like if I given you limit x approaches to 1 negative square root for x, 1 negative x, and I ask you to find the limit. If I use direct substitution, you will find 1 negative square root for 1, it will be 1 negative 1. The numerator and denominator 0 dividing by 0. This quantity is unknown value. I can't stop at this point. I have to find otherwise to solve these limits. The cancelling method, I will looking for the function here. I need to make some simple cancelling for the numerator and the denominator. The numerator, I have square root, I can't make any fraction for this or factorization for this. I will looking for the denominator. 1 negative x, I have to make factorization for this. If I take 1 negative square root for x, I have to factorization for the denominator. And I multiplying by the positive number. If I have to replace it to the original one, you have to do multiplication this by this and this by this and complete your calculation. This factorization will help us to find the limit directly. I have 1 negative square root for x, and the denominator, I will take this factorization 1 negative square root for x, 1 plus square root for x. I'm looking for any part of denominator and denominator. We can cancel it by it. I will take this part and this part. I have to find the limit. X approaches to 1. 1 over 1 plus square root of x. Now we can take substitution, direct substitution. This will be 1 over 1 plus square root for 1. This will be half. This function, this limit, it will be equal half. Some function like polynomial function, if I give you limit x given approach to -1 for x squared negative x negative 6, I have to make the first step to take the value of x approach to -1, just replace any x with this equation to find the limit. I have direct substitution, -1 squared negative 1 negative 6. Make some simplification, simplify to find this. It will be 1 plus 1 negative 6. This will be equal -4. This polynomial function, I can make it by direct substitution. If giving me unknown value, I have to make factorization or simplify this function. The limits already complete with continuity. Continuity depending all steps with the limit. If you misunderstanding with these limits and these steps to find the limit direct or cancelling, this will be big problem with continuity. Guys, I have to make group for Whats with my number to be in touch with us, with each other. This number I will be available all the time. What's on this number? I have to contact with you. Any question, just ask me. I will respond immediately. Thank you. I will continue the next lecture with continuity. Thank you.